What if one of the most notorious figures connected to the Epstein scandal wasn't acting alone, but was quietly coordinating with one of the most powerful men in America to keep the truth buried? Tonight, explosive questions are resurfacing as Ghislaine Maxwell's name is once again being linked to Donald Trump, not through casual association, but through what critics now describe as a calculated effort to control the narrative, silence damaging revelations, and shield political power from total collapse. While no final legal conclusions have been reached, the pattern raising alarms is becoming harder to ignore. Ghislaine Maxwell, the longtime associate of Jeffrey Epstein, is already serving a prison sentence for her role in trafficking and abuse crimes. Yet despite her conviction, the full scope of who knew what and who helped whom has never been completely exposed. Over the years, Maxwell has hinted that she possesses information that could implicate powerful figures. That alone makes her one of the most dangerous witnesses in modern American scandal history. And that is where Donald Trump enters the conversation once again. Trump has long attempted to distance himself from Epstein and Maxwell, repeatedly claiming limited contact. However, photographs, flight records, and social connections have consistently contradicted the idea that these relationships were insignificant. What is now drawing renewed scrutiny is the suggestion that behind-the-scenes legal strategies, messaging, and political pressure may have been aligned in a way that benefited both Maxwell and Trump, especially during the most critical moments, when public attention threatened to explode. Observers point to Trump's carefully worded public comments about Maxwell after her arrest. Rather than expressing outrage or sympathy for victims, Trump famously said, "I wish her well." At the time, many brushed it off as another off-the-cuff remark. But critics now argue that statement may have served a deeper purpose, sending a signal of reassurance, not just to Maxwell, but to anyone holding damaging information that could connect the dots between Epstein, Maxwell, and elite power structures. Behind closed doors, Maxwell's legal posture has also raised eyebrows. Despite facing overwhelming evidence, she has repeatedly avoided fully cooperating with investigators in a way that would publicly name powerful individuals. Some legal analysts suggest this silence may not be accidental. The question many are now asking is simple but chilling. Was there an understanding, explicit or implied, that certain names would remain protected? Trump's political rise, presidency, and continued influence have always relied heavily on narrative control. When scandals emerge, the playbook is familiar: deny, distract, attack the media, and recast the story as a witch hunt. That same strategy has surrounded the Epstein-Maxwell saga from the start. Any attempt to connect Trump to the broader scandal is immediately framed as politically motivated, even when evidence is circumstantial but persistent. Meanwhile, Maxwell's incarceration has not brought closure. Court documents remain sealed. Key witness testimonies are still restricted. High-profile client lists are unconfirmed. Each delay benefits those with the most to lose. And critics argue that Trump, facing multiple legal and political threats of his own, had every incentive to ensure that this particular scandal never reached full daylight. What makes this alleged coordination especially disturbing is the broader implication. If political power can quietly align with convicted criminals to suppress information, then justice itself becomes negotiable. Victims are left unheard, the public is kept in the dark, and accountability dissolves behind legal technicalities and media noise. Supporters of Trump insist there is no direct proof of coordination, and legally, that is true so far. But history shows that major scandals rarely unravel through a single smoking gun. Instead, they collapse under the weight of patterns, coincidences, and silence. The same names appearing repeatedly. The same evasions. The same refusal to answer direct questions under oath. As time passes, pressure continues to mount. Journalists, legal experts, and survivors are demanding transparency. Why are certain records still sealed? Why has Maxwell not been compelled to testify publicly about all her connections? And why does Trump respond with fury whenever Epstein's name resurfaces if there is truly nothing to hide? This story is not about guilt being declared on a YouTube channel. It is about power, protection, and the systems that allow the wealthy and connected to escape consequences that ordinary people never could. Whether or not future investigations prove direct coordination, the unanswered questions alone represent a failure of accountability. In the end, the truth has a way of surfacing no matter how long it is buried. Deals collapse, loyalties fade, and silence becomes harder to maintain. If Ghislaine Maxwell truly holds information that could reshape how we understand this scandal, then the real question isn't whether the truth will come out, but who is most afraid of the moment it does. Because when secrets involve power at the highest level, exposure doesn't just end careers. It rewrites history.